Hello everyone, all you beautiful beings out there. My name is Ash. If you've never seen any of my videos before, I am a brand new YouTuber. I have a couple videos out. um, Today I felt called to share with you all my recent healing experience from my guides and from possibly the ETs as well, and how you can receive healing too. And if you're not, then if you are actually asking for it, and if you are giving yourself that experience. So, I want to start off by saying that ever since my mushroom trip, like the the existential dread has been visceral. And me and my husband are going through kind of a rough patch in our life right now. We just moved completely out of state from our family. We are living in Colorado right now, Southwest, which is absolutely gorgeous. We are in like a city part, living in like the city, but the mountains are only 20 minutes away. So whenever we need to ground, we head on over to the canyons and the mountains and ground ourselves. But yeah, so it is really scary. A lot has happened since moving here. We almost didn't make it financially. We are still struggling so hard financially, and both working jobs, that maybe don't completely align to our higher purpose. But baby steps, we're getting there. So this heavy existential like anxiety and dread and whatever has still kind of been with me. And I was reading this guy's post on Instagram. I totally forgot his name, honestly, but he was at one of Dr. Joe Dispenza's retreats, and he was posting a lot of posts about like the experiences that were going on at the retreat. And if you don't know who Dr. Joe Dispenza is, he is an author, he's a scientist, and I want to say he does a lot of stuff with like quantum physics as well, but he basically is the guy that is merging science with spirituality, which I absolutely love. He has amazing breakthrough retreats and meditations and everything like that. So he works a lot with like brain-heart coherence and that type of stuff. So I was reading this guy's post, and he was saying how basically like the ETs, like the Arcturians, were there at the retreat and bringing people modes of healing through like balancing their chakras like with their hands, and like people were seeing these beings like in their mind's eye and all that. So I was really resonating with that. And also he talks a lot about like the law of one and the spectrum of like consciousness and all that, so that was super interesting. And one thing that resonated was like he was like ask for healing. Like if you're not feeling like connected, like ask. bless me. And so what I did, like because I resonated so much with that post, I asked the Arcturians, and I asked my ancestors and my guides like for healing. Like I told them like I finally felt ready to be healed. And before this, I had asked for healing, but it was kind of like part of me knew that I wasn't quite ready to dive that deep. So I would like ask for it in my head, I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready for this healing, and I'm sure slowly my guides and ETs have like slowly integrated experiences for me to initiate that healing, but it was never anything like super substantial, like I know they're there, like oh my god, so intense or whatever. And there's a reason for that, but we'll get into that. So this time I felt super ready. Like there was no resistance, there was no I think, there was like it was just like I'm ready. Like I feel like I need this healing. Yeah. And so it was at nighttime, and I turned off everything. It was pitch black except for a tiny little light coming from the smoke detector in our bedroom. And So I started having this feeling of the existential dread or anxiety come up or whatever. It feels like a literal burning sensation like in your heart. And so it's super painful, super intense, super uncomfortable. And with this feeling, I start getting panicky, and you're like, oh God, I don't want to get into a panic attack. Like, what am I feeling or whatever? And so I kept getting messages and downloads like this whole time, and then all of a sudden, then the mind's eye pictures started coming through. But basically, the downloads that I was getting was surrender. Just surrender. Surrender to the feeling. Don't resist it. Don't feel panicky because of it. Like, just let it exist and be there and hold it, love it or whatever. And so I did that. I finally, I made my body relaxed all the muscles in my body, and then eventually my mind was able to calm down a bit as well. And while this was happening, I started getting visuals of so many spirits of my ancestors and of my guides, whoever, just piling on top of me, just holding me. Like, I felt so held, but I felt like I was resisting being held at first, and I was like, no, I'm not being held by all of these ancestors. I'm not being held by all these guides. And I saw my galactic family was holding me, and even the people that were still alive in my life today, they were holding me too. And I think what brought upon the emotional release, because after that I bawled my eyes out for a good maybe 30 minutes, but was seeing the people in my life today that are actually holding me as well. And it's like, you are so supported. You are so supported. You don't even see how supported you are. And while this was all happening, there was a voice in my head that wasn't mine, or at least not mine right now, but it was a older, wiser woman's voice. And I asked her name at the time, and she told me, but I don't exactly recall. It was kind of like a dreamlike state. So right after it happened, I was trying to relay it to my husband, who was half asleep, what's happening with me, and he's holding me, and he's asleep, it's okay, babe, he doesn't really even know what's going on. But but yeah, so I was bawling my eyes out, feeling so held by all of my ancestors and all of these beings. Even some beings, I have no idea who a lot of these beings were, but I felt their presence, and I knew I was so supported and so held going through this feeling, this heart-opening, intense, painful, uncomfortable feeling that I've been going through. And I realized that it was a layer of my heart that was blocked off, and that my guides, my ancestors, the ETs, are opening this layer of my heart for me during this experience. And of course, it's going to be painful and uncomfortable. So then all of a sudden, the emotions just turned off. It's after all my questions were answered, and there were questions of am I really being held by this many ancestors? Am I really, how often are you guys around me and everything? And of course the answer is yes, always. We're always around you. You're always being held. Sometimes you can't see us, you don't know we're here, but you are held, you are seen, And so that was a super powerful and emotional experience. I retold this story to my husband the other day, because he was half asleep when it happened, and I was just bawling my eyes out just even telling the story of how held I felt by the ancestors and the guides. And there were so many spirits piled on top of me that but not in a suffocating way. It was in a very held and gentle way. So then the emotions stopped. All of a sudden, I stopped crying, and I butterflied my eyes open, and this light, the tiny white or green, maybe it's just a tiny little light coming from the smoke detector in my dark room. I look at it, and it's blue this time. And it also, like, the light reflection was in the shape of a elongated blue face. And I even said to my husband at the time, I was like, are you seeing this? Do you see that? And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't see anything. And I'm like, you don't see how the light is blue? The light is blue now. Like, you don't see that? And he's like, no, the light's not blue. And then all of a sudden, like, I blinked a couple more times and it was not blue anymore. So to me, that was like a confirmation from the Arcturians, like, we were here, we didn't show our full selves to you, like in your mind's eye we did, but like, we were here and we helped heal you, essentially. Which, yeah, it was an incredible experience. It really was. And yeah, sometimes you don't even like know when a layer of your heart is closed off until you go through that pain and, you know, realize like, wow, yeah, like a part of me was closed off. And like, I'm so grateful for my guides, my ancestors, the ETs, for helping me to heal that layer of my heart that was closed off. My pets are here bothering me while I'm making this video. Oh, of course they're not bothering me. They're here with me. They are one of those beings, you know, that are just always here for me, and I love them for it. So, but anyway, so my advice to anyone who's like seeking healing is ask yourself 2 questions. If you're not receiving healing, are you actually open? Are you actually open and ready to receive healing? Because if you're not, or if you feel like you're not receiving healing, then there's a part of you that isn't open or ready to receive it yet. And that's okay. That's part of your journey too. Like, I was in that state for many years. You know, I've been on a spiritual journey, like wanting to interact with ETs and wanting to get that healing experience from them and all that. And, you know, it wasn't till a couple days ago that they finally showed themselves to me a little bit, you know what I mean? And like, so I was finally ready enough to go through the pain of healing. It's not like you're in like the state that you are in now, which is probably like fine or whatever, and then like they heal you and you're like, whoa, I'm so happy now, you know? It's like, no, you're gonna feel this deep layer of yourself die, essentially, like this deep pain that you have been experiencing, you know, come up, and you're gonna have to fully feel it. You know, it's not a stress-free, you know, pain-free situation. It's you gotta go through it, you know what I mean? So it was way more difficult than like I originally thought that like healing was gonna be. It's like, you know, you watch videos and you hear like, oh yeah, I was really uncomfortable, but I'm healed now and all that. So like, you know, I kind of had an idea, but until you go through it, it's like you don't actually know how painful it can and uncomfortable it can be. But that's part of it, you know. And also, another question to ask yourself if you don't feel like you're receiving healing is like, are you actually asking for it? And who are you asking for it? Like, get specific with yourself and really ask yourself, like, are you asking your guides for healing? Or are you asking them something else but in a different, you know, like, are you actually giving off the vibration of like, yes, I need to heal this thing? Or are you giving off the vibration of like, I actually am wanting just to be gentle with myself and blah, blah, blah. Like, because what you're asking could be different than like what you're vibrationally asking. And they'll give you whatever you're vibrationally asking for. You know what I mean? So really deep dive into those questions of, am I actually asking for, you know, vibrationally, like, healing in that way? or maybe I'm asking for it in a different way and I'm receiving it in that way. There's many like modalities to healing, and no experience is the same. But yeah, I realized, that I really wasn't asking for healing before. I was more so asking for being gentle with myself and for experiences to uplift me. And I received that, you know what I mean? And along with, it hasn't been a stress-free journey by any means. But yeah, so really, really dive into those questions, and you might be surprised by the answers that you get. But just always know that, like, where you are right now is where you're supposed to be. If you weren't meant to get that extreme visceral healing experience right now, then you weren't meant to right now, and then maybe you will in the future. And whenever you do, it will be exactly the right time. And yeah, maybe you thought you're ready for it, but you're not, like me. So yeah, so that's my experience. I hope this helped you guys. I hope this maybe opened your mind to possibilities of healing. And by no means am I like a completely different person or anything like that. There's so many layers to healing, especially like in the heart chakra and in the upper chakras and all that. I mean, most of us are still operating from our bottom 3 chakras, which is totally fine. It's just where humanity is right now. And with awareness and self-love, we can eventually change that. But yeah, so there's many modalities to it. So I think that's all I had to say for this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope that you are happy and surviving in this crazy time of being a soul in a human body. So I'll see you guys next time. Also, the last thing I wanted to add was, at the end of that experience, I also felt that not only was I helping to heal my own ancestry by having that healing experience, but I was also helping to heal the collective consciousness, because I felt that we were all kind of going through that in a sense at one time, and at this time, I mean. So, like, I felt like the darkness, that's what that heavy anxiety, dread feeling was the heavy darkness weighing on all of us right now, the unknown, the fear, the what the fuck is happening, and like that kind of represents like the dark beings too, in a sense, and all of these guides, ancestors, ETs, like holding me, surrounding me, holding the light for me or whatever, that really represented all of the galactic light beings and the ancestors holding all of us, surrounding all of us and helping us get through this experience together as well. So I don't know why exactly, but like after the experience, I felt like I was really helping to heal the collective consciousness at that time too, just by healing that layer of my heart at that time. So yeah, like you don't even have to think about the fact that you are healing humanity too. Like it all just happens at once. You heal yourself. That self-love, that wanting to heal yourself, it goes deeper. Like once you're healing yourself, you're also healing your ancestry. You're also healing the collective consciousness, because like you are one with all, and what you're going through right now as an individual human is probably what the collective consciousness or your ancestry has gone through as well. That's literally what karma is. It's energetic reverberation, and so it circles back around in your DNA. So when you heal something in yourself, it's most likely being healed in the ethers as well. So I truly felt like that experience helped me heal a tiny sliver of my ancestry and also a tiny sliver of the collective consciousness. And if you resonated at all with this video, then I feel like that's definitely a confirmation for me that did help to heal the collective consciousness. So all you have to do is ask for healing for yourself. You don't have to think so hard about going out and healing humanity. How can I heal them, you know, it all starts with the self. It all starts with self-love. It's the least selfish thing you can do, is to want to love yourself and heal yourself. You are healing the planet. You are healing the ethers by healing yourself. So never feel selfish for wanting to help yourself, because that is single-handedly the most important thing you can do for the alignment of yourself and for the alignment of the planet and the collective consciousness.